Gary DeWaal here, and this is Bridging the Week for October 12th to 16th, and today is October 19th, 2015. Good morning. Market conduct offenses, including alleged spoofing, prearranged trades, and wash sales, resulted in trading bans for 3 individuals on CME Group exchanges, while a senior Securities and Exchange Commission staff member endeavored to assuage concerns by chief compliance officers that the agency has specifically targeted chief compliance officers in its enforcement program. It was a short work week in the United States because of the Columbus Day holiday last Monday, but we still have a few interesting articles, so let's get started. CME Group Business Conduct Committees permanently banned 3 traders from trading on CME Group exchanges for market conduct violations involving alleged spoofing, prearranged trades, and wash sales. In 2 actions, one involving futures traded on the New York Mercantile Exchange and another involving futures traded on the Commodity Exchange Inc., Nitin Gupta was charged with engaging in, quote-unquote, a pattern of activity involving the repeated entry of large orders for futures contract, quote, without the intent to trade, end of quote, from February through April 2013. Apparently, Mr. Gupta entered these orders to effectuate the execution of smaller orders on the opposite side of the market as his larger orders. After obtaining fills, Mr. Gupta allegedly canceled his large orders. For his violations, Mr. Gupta was assessed an aggregate fine of $150,000 in addition to his trading ban. Separately, Liban Zhao was charged with engaging in matching buying and sell futures for his own account and for an account owned by his employer, resulting in the transfer of almost $25,000 from his employers to his own account. These trades occurred from May 2013 through June 2013. Mr. Liban was also accused of making, quote-unquote, several misstatements during the course of his interviews with CME Group market regulation staff. In addition to his trading ban, Mr. Liban was ordered to pay a fine of $100,000 and restitution to his employer. Finally, Rajaskaran Veermuthu was also banned from trading on CME Group exchanges and fined $50,000 for engaging in a quote-unquote a series of wash sales between accounts with the same beneficial owner from November 21st through December 20th, 2012. Andrew J. Donahue, Chief of Staff of the Securities and Exchange Commission, claimed that despite a number of recent enforcement actions naming chief compliance officers, the SEC, quote, is not targeting and has not targeted compliance personnel, end of quote. He made the statement in a speech before the National Regulatory Services 30th Annual Fall Investment Advisor and Broker-Dealer Compliance Conference held last week in San Diego, California. Mr. Donahue acknowledged 3 recent SEC enforcement actions involving CCOs of investment advisors that have caused, quote, a lot of discussion whether the Commission was targeting CCOs, end of quote. These cases involve CCOs of BlackRock Advisors, Parallax Investments, and FSX Financial Advisory Management Enterprises. However, Mr. Donahue claimed SEC enforcement staff will only, quote-unquote, typically recommend enforcement actions against CCOs, quote, when they have affirmatively participated in the misconduct, helped mislead regulators, or had clear responsibility to implement compliance programs and policies and wholly failed to carry out that responsibility, end of quote. As a result, Mr. Donahue concluded, quote, I believe that CCOs should feel empowered to diligently carry out their responsibility without fear of personal liability, end of quote. Mr. Donahue's suggestion that CCOs may only be liable for failure to implement relevant compliance programs and policy appears contrary to the plain language of the applicable SEC rule, at least so far as such actions are aimed at CCOs with investment advisors, which the last 3 SEC enforcement actions were. To see what I have to say about that, read my commentary on this matter on the article version of Bridging the Week on the website. Check it out. UBS AG agreed to pay disgorgement and prejudgment interest of $11.5 million to resolve allegations by the Securities and Exchange Commission that it misled investors of structured notes whose return was based on a proprietary index derived from the performance of a proprietary trading program involving foreign exchange. UBS sold these notes to U.S. retail investors between December 2009 and November 2010, said the SEC. According to the SEC, these notes were marketed to investors as being based on a quote-unquote transparent and quote-unquote systematic currency trading program. However, alleged the SEC, UBS engaged in conduct associated with the notes that was not disclosed and not systematic. The SEC claimed that UBS added markups to certain hedging transactions that were not justified, added spreads to hedging transactions, quote, that were determined at the direction of the FX spot desk, end of quote, and were not systematic, and on over 24 occasions engaged in trading for the firm's proprietary account that were, quote, directionally consistent, end of quote, with trades taken later with hedging transactions. And finally, a U.S. federal court in Ohio ordered Bradley Miklovich, a former employee of Rice Investment Company, a commodity futures trading commission registered introducing broker, to make full restitution to Rice of $360 US and pay a fine of $100,000 US for unauthorized trading and concealment. In March 2014, the CFTC brought charges against Mr. Miklovich, claiming he traded without authorization through 3 accounts of one customer and the single account of another customer from July 23rd through July 30th, 2013. Because during this time, Mr. Miklovich temporarily assumed certain reconciliation functions on behalf of a Rice employee on vacation who ordinarily performed these tasks, he was able to falsify both the reconciliations viewed by Rice's principals as well as daily account summaries viewed by one of Rice's customers, claimed the CFTC. As a result, Rice did not become aware of Mr. Miklovich's unauthorized trades, according to the CFTC's complaint, until the morning of July 31st, 2013, when it was advised by the FCM, carrying the customer's accounts, that one of Rice's customers required additional margin or would be liquidated. Previously, Rice paid to its carrying FCM $360 US to cover the customer's losses. In connection with this matter, the court also imposed registration and trading bans on Mr. Miklovich. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Bridging the Week. As always, there's more information in each article and more articles on the article version of Bridging the Week on the website. Check it out. Until next week, this is Gary DeWaal. Have a great week, and as always, ciao.